talk about all of this with Christopher Bedford, editor-in-chief of the Daily Caller News Foundation, Jackie Kucinich, senior politics editor of the Daily Beast. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Jackie, Donald Trump in first place, at least according to one poll. A lot of people said it couldn't happen. Do you have an explanation?
Well, you know, Donald Trump really does have a strong name recognition among people, and there is a little bit of that. And we also should say that this is a very small part of the electorate. It's something like 17% of the people. That said, the fact that you don't have one of the other candidates really overtaking him, that's very interesting at this point.
He has, well, Christopher, some people have suggested, some political watchers have suggested that the Republicans have to be very careful in how they refer to Donald Trump, how they take him on, because if you wind up offending him and sending him into, well, I mean, potentially a third-party candidacy, potentially, I suppose, he could be the nominee, but if you wind up offending him, you've got a real problem on your hands. Jeb Bush, for one, has decided to take him on.
Absolutely, and I think Donald Trump really likes to keep Americans just on their toes with his antics. In 2012, you saw him attacking Mitt Romney for being too harsh in immigration rhetoric. Now you see him attacking the entire world for not being harsh enough in immigration rhetoric. And I think that Jeb Bush has the right strategy here, which is to be the happy warrior, as you said. And once you put him on a stage with Trump, and it looks like he is going to be on a stage with Trump, to contrast the angry tycoon with the happy warrior, that's going to be something that voters are all going to see. But if people like Marco Rubio, Scott Walker, and Jeb Bush can't take on Donald Trump as he rises in the polls, then they don't deserve to win the White House. They have to be able to debate him on the stage.
Is it just a matter, Jackie, of his name recognition, or has he touched a nerve with some of his comments?
I think he has touched a nerve with a lot of his comments. But also, you know, it's going to be interesting, Chris is right, how they respond to him on the debate stage. What are they being advised to do? Because they can't make him a martyr. They can't make him someone that people start feeling sorry for, or that they think is being treated unfairly by the Republican establishment, or he is going to get another surge.
What about his Republican bona fides, Christopher? Is Donald Trump a Republican?
No, I don't think he cares at all for the GOP. It's just his latest vehicle to rise up in American newsrooms, to rise up in the polls, and he's going to capitalize it. But I can absolutely imagine that if he doesn't get selected and doesn't start to win the primaries, he'll just as soon turn on every Republican primary voter and say, who cares? They're losers. You can hear it right now.
That's a pretty good impersonation. Let's talk a little bit about Scott Walker. We just showed him making that initial visit to South Carolina. He is you know, not apologizing to anybody. He says he's going to run as a core conservative, Jackie, and try to pull voters along with him. How unusual, I guess, is that approach?
It's a very strong message when you're talking to the Republican base, but it remains to be seen if this is something that could work in a general election. Because, I mean, saying you're going to win victory without compromise, I think, is one of the things he's talking about. And that's fine for Wisconsin, but the broader electorate is more diverse than that. So he's going to have to broaden out at some point if he wants to attract more people. He
is not, Christopher, the flashiest candidate on the Republican side. Would you agree?
I agree. He's not the flashiest, but he's got some of the most substance. He's kind of the opposite of Donald Trump. He's accomplished a huge amount of things in Wisconsin for the voters. What he's struggling against now is going to be name recognition because, as you said, he's struggling against, like, young, charismatic Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, the entertainer, the Bush name. And that's why you see him now, right after his announcement. He's hitting 16 cities, 6 states. His travel schedule is full. And what he's going to be doing right now is going around to local constituents and primary voters and telling them his story, his personal story, the Wisconsin story. And if he can sell steady, reliable, conservative ideas and beat over the style, which is difficult in a modern election, then he really will. I think you'll see his star start to rise.
Is it a matter of style, Jackie? I mean, if you're not a particularly flashy candidate, can you break through with this many in the race?
2 words, Martin O'Malley. I mean, he hasn't really broken through at all, and there are not that many on the Democratic side. There's just this monolith that is Hillary Clinton. Yeah, it is. It's going to be very hard to break through in this Republican field. That said, Scott Walker's record when it comes to conservatives really will set him apart, but he will have to work for it, and we're seeing him start that right now.
Getting into the race late by modern standards, Christopher, has that hurt him?
I don't think it's hurt him because it allows him right now to have a chance to rise above the din. It's been constant coverage of everything, whether it's the Iran deal this day, or Trump this day, or Jeb Bush this day. And I think the American electorate is going to really start to pay attention now. The polls are going to be going up and down, and if he can establish himself in time for the debates, get his poll numbers up, which it looks like he will, then when they see him on the stage, it's going to be his chance to show that his Midwestern, homegrown style is what voters may or may not want.
Christopher Bedford from the Daily Caller. We're going to come back to you another time for your Trump impersonation. Jackie Kucinich from the Daily Beast. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was solid. It was a solid impersonation. We should ask all of our political panels to impersonate at least one candidate if they want to come on, don't you think?
I think that's a
good addition.
Great angle.
I like that. We'll have Christopher back, I'm sure. In the meantime, Eye on the Economy as the head of the Fed testifies before